The following broadcast Control-Alt-Delete seems to be working. Alright. Well, I have no idea how much of what I just said got recorded. That's always great. Same old, same old. Welcome to the Lost Begotten channel. Jeez. Where the computer eventually does what I tell it to. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Good job with the new update, guys. I got 75, 99, 100% CPU usage. And I cannot fucking change goddamn screen. That's all I can do. Alright, we're gonna try this again. Microsoft Edge is using 15% of my browser capacity. The internet browser that isn't actually doing anything right now. So I started my broadcast and my computer locked up. My mouse wouldn't move. 5-second delay after Control-Alt-Delete. And now I'm watching my processes. Isn't that lovely? So I've paused Internet Explorer. 10% for a multi-writer extension. That kind of makes sense, but I was getting, oh, now I'm still at 74%, 77%. What the fuck is using all this? XSplit, 23%. (32-bit) Internet Explorer. I guess Max is probably already here, so I'm going to close that. Look, it's Microsoft Edge opening in 233 megabytes. That's a fucking bitware, man. That is a piece of a server right there. There ain't no fucking 230 megs need to load for this dumbass page. I've been an IT professional since there's been the fucking phrase IT, okay? Since before they realized they could make an acronym. This is bullshit. So you can guarantee this fucking broadcast won't get many views. Active suppression. Now see, XSplit Broadcaster. That is actually loading a bunch of different media files and actually needs 230 something megs. Maybe. Internet Explorer is running a fucking YouTube video and a chat applet. Okay, that's 19 megabytes plus 157 kilobytes. And if that took more than 157 pages of code, man, you got problems. Fucking chat applet. I don't have the filters turned on. Shouldn't be no AI, nothing. Should just be a fucking post-nuke style chat outlet. But no. I just want to take a weed eater through my fucking operating system. Oh look, the broadcast has gone red. Currently not using the internet on any other devices in my house. Okay, good morning. I think the broadcast is working now. I might just give up on this one for lack of any real direction here. Oh look, that worked. I pressed a button and that worked. Oh look how pleasant. So, let's just call that a really long intro, and welcome to the Lost Begotten channel. Today we're going to be broadcasting live from Louisiana, the Hurricane unevent of the season. It is bearing down. So we're just going to do some morning little coffee and talk about national
in my heart, and baby, down in my soul. You, baby, you can't take it no more. No, I know I'm walking out that door the way you treated me too many times before. I know I gotta keep you by my side today I've died. 'Cause baby, ecstasy is in my hand. Oh, when I'm holding yours in mine and walking in the sand. Oh, baby, you know it's fine. But now you done and piss me off. You ain't done something you shouldn't have done. Baby, I'm mad. I'm going on. Oh, I'm going on. I can't take it no more.
Welcome, one and all, to the Lost Begotten channel. I am your host, the Baby Jesus, also known as Fake TV's The Lost Begotten. God, I love saying that. The Baby Jesus! Oh, it has a certain woodiness to it. Woody. It's a woody word. Woody word. Well, today we are just gonna do this. So if you want to know what he's saying, read the freaking captions, because if I turn the sound on, this is going to go wrong rather quickly. When NBC goes back to local news, we'll switch it over to NBC. But we're just going to be doing headlines. My wife is going to come here and scroll Facebook in a little while and see what's going on there. And we're going to bring you local news from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, thanks for joining us. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to sign in the chat, say hello, and where you are, where you been, where you from, that kind of thing. We like to hear from you. Introduce yourself. But anyways, so there's our weather lady in her Star Trek dress. They all love their Star Trek dresses, don't they? And, you know, she's saying that things are doing stuff, as they usually tend to. You don't really need to hear it, do you? I mean, it's just like, it's all the same old shit. Who gives a fuck? Why am I even making this broadcast? Jeez. So yeah, that's what our reception looks like. Isn't that lovely? That's my TV, which is why I use YouTube so much. But we can't use YouTube right now because that would mean that I would have to reload the fucking game. And that ain't gonna happen. So, also, I don't quite understand what YouTube wants from me. I really don't. They just let Russians harass me and they give me no guidance. I don't understand. So, I'm hoping they issue some sort of guidance regarding news uploads. Okay, people record and upload just fucking news all the time. Other people's shit, they're recording it, putting it online, monetizing it, and making money off of it. I don't do that. I do things relevant to this channel specifically. Okay? That makes my usage of that fair use, according to 1972 Act. And what I do when I do this, or, you know, putting the news on the screen, sometimes with audio too, sometimes audio only while we watch the fish tanks in the morning, this constitutes fair use because I am giving critical commentary. I am being the host. I am, you know, actually doing exactly what the law says fair use implies. So if anybody has legal grounds for fair use, it's not the people who are just doing side uploading, just taking blocks of news footage and uploading it. It's me. I'm doing what the fair use law has in mind. Anyways, let's see if the other channels are beginning to show some news for us. There we go.
Saturday night into Sunday morning, this storm will move onshore with winds sustained of 80 miles per hour. As I said, here in the Baton Rouge area, a wind gust of 50, 60, 70 miles per hour a possibility, but the stronger wind gusts will still be out toward the south and southeast. That's why the NHC has the southeastern areas. We're talking about Gonzales, Sorrento, over toward Walker, Denham Springs, under hurricane watch, at least for the next 48 hours, expecting some wind gusts over 74 miles per hour. On top of that, out toward the east and southeast, we have storm surge watches and warnings. We see some wind, maybe some tides, at least hovering between 3 to 5, even 6 feet before it's all said and done above normal. So here's what we're expecting, at least the impacts in our area. Of course, the strong winds, heavy rainfall potential, maybe 1, 2, 3 inches of rainfall before it's all said and done, especially out toward the south and east, and the high surf, especially as you make your way out toward the south and east. So the futurecast is places in the motion, showing the bands pushing in as we move towards your Saturday afternoon, evening, and then late on Saturday night into Sunday morning, you see the heaviest bands out toward Gonzales, extending all the way toward I-55 and all the way back towards Slidell. This storm system will continue to push off toward the north and northeast. So, for continuing weather updates, go to my Facebook page as well as on Twitter. Of course, here on air at Local 33 and online at brproud.com. So the headlines, get out and enjoy this Friday with temperatures into the 80s with the sunshine. This weekend, things change and the front moving by the latter part of the Saturday. Current temperatures out the door right now. Baton Rouge, we're at 64 degrees with some dry air entrenched across the area. Alexandria with 60. 61 in the Monroe and 62 and to Jackson. There is that cold air off toward the northwest of us. Temperatures into the 30s and 40s. We'll see a taste of that latter part of the 7-day. Well, modified. Temperatures today, 88 degrees with that sunshine. Winds from the east. That muggy meter, notice 2 points higher than yesterday. At 70, will start to increase with that moisture pushing in due to May to around 73 when you wake up in the morning. Therefore, temperatures overnight only at around 74 with cloud cover on the increase and rain chances all the way up to around 20%. So the next 5 days, tomorrow, 86 degrees, rain chances at 70%, 70% on Sunday, high of 86, and then we're back to 88 on Monday. Rain chances 40%, 30% on Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, finally some cooler air, well, modified, 84 degrees. Let's take a look at what's happening with the traffic this morning. I-12 at O'Neill right now, the westbound lanes. A little bit of a slowdown, but something we can handle on a Friday morning. This traffic check is sponsored by the American Law Firm. Now back over to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you. We'll be sure to keep a close eye on that storm. Now, in related news, Governor John Bel Edwards has declared a state of emergency ahead of Tropical Storm Nate. He's mobilizing National Guard troops and calling on the help of the federal government. Local 33's Justin Campbell has more on those preparations.
Everyone in South Louisiana should begin preparing for this storm now.
And by that, Governor John Bel Edwards means not being out on the streets late at night.
The bottom line for people is that you need to be where you want to be and in the posture you want to be by dark on Saturday.
You need to be inside by 8 p.m.
Once it gets dark,
it's not a mandatory curfew, but for your safety.
this is a storm not to be taken lightly. This is not an exercise.
The governor has mobilized 1,300 National Guard members prepared to help affected parishes.
Maybe stay with a loved one or stay with a relative, until this threat passes over.
Mike Steele with GoSep says that message is for anyone that's still in a FEMA mobile housing unit or a trailer.
Well, some of those structures obviously aren't meant to withstand, a hurricane.
The governor is also calling on the help of the federal government.
Request President Trump declare a pre-landfall state of emergency here in Louisiana. And we have been blessed when Harvey went left and Irma went right. That is not what we anticipate out of Nate.
So be prepared, anchor down, count your blessings, and be safe. Reporting in Baton Rouge, Justin Campbell, Local 33 News.
And in New Orleans, Mayor Mitch Landrieu urging citizens to take an active part in preparing for Tropical Storm Nate.
Panic, but there is
is reason to prepare. We're encouraging the public to do all they can to prepare for this weather event. Get a plan to protect yourself and your property. Again, I want to stress there's no need to panic.
There's your reading log down there on the floor.
Heavy wind and heavy rain. Now, each parish president makes an evacuation call for their area, but the mayor did not rule out an order depending on storm surges. Of course, we here at Local 33 will
put it in the folder where it belongs.
All right, switching gears to your
What do you
Local
think you're
33
doing?
crime tracker this morning. A
Just
fifth
being
grader
lazy,
has
just
been
put it
charged
somewhere?
with bringing an
That's
unloaded gun
ridiculous,
to
though.
school in East Baton Rouge Parish. The EBR School Drug Task Force responded to a call at 9:30 yesterday morning at LaBelle Air Elementary School. The principal says she received reports that an 11-year-old student was playing with a gun and a lighter before school off campus. Now, that student was taken to East Baton Rouge Juvenile Detention Center and charged with illegal carrying of a firearm on school property.
And as violent crime and murder rates continue to rise in the capital city, federal, state, and local officials have done their part and announced a plan to help bring it down. U.S. Attorney Corey Amundson discussed the plan yesterday alongside District Attorney Hilla Moore. Local 33's T.C. Muzinga has the story.
Filling prisons is not our goal. Our goal is to control crime.
There's only so many days left in 2017, but that number doesn't compare to the shootings and innocent lives taken away from the deadly streets of the capital city. U.S. Attorney Corey Amundson, surrounded by federal, state, and local officials, have had enough. And this Thursday morning, a strategy and a call to action to tackle and target gang members, drug users, and of course the nonstop deadly violence.
We're going to create a U.S. Attorney-led violent criminal enterprises strike force to identify and attack the most violent groups in our area.
I think the previous message gave that away.
Our enhanced focus on federal gun prosecutions. Third, we will pursue drug traffickers, not mere users, using mandatory sentences provided by Congress.
Having the federal government come out
another
and
good deed thoroughly punished,
in this city and in this parish to reduce crime is very beneficial.
There's our mayor.
Absent from Thursday's discussion, the mayor says there are a lot of ways to solve these crimes, and those efforts, including Thursday's strike force announcement, is what she describes as
all of these pillars play a role in creating safe communities.
However, Councilman Chana Banks disagrees.
It's an open season on black folks in a legal way. And it's absolutely horrific that we have a mayor that would say this is okay.
If we're serious about reducing violent crime, we need to keep violent offenders behind bars so that they cannot do any more harm and so that others will be deterred from following their footsteps.
For Local 33 News, I'm T.C. Muzinga.
And U.S. Attorney Corey Amundson says he has a team training right now to battle these violent crimes. Well, now to new information, attorneys for Alton Sterling's family have sent a letter to Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry's office requesting to hear the audio and video captured in the moments before and after his death. You may recall Sterling was shot and killed by a Baton Rouge police officer on July 5th of last year. The audio and video have not previously been released to the public. The family now requesting a private viewing of the footage and say doing so would not interfere with the Attorney General's ongoing investigation. Well, 6:40 right now, and switching gears to your local election headquarters, early voting continues to be underway for the October 14th special election. New voting projections are in after an initial report that suggested a larger than expected turnout. We're getting a big dose of reality, actually a much lower turnout now projected.
Yeah, because I ain't heard nothing about this.
The turnout right now, from what I'm seeing after 4 days of early voting, I'm saying 11 to 16% turnout. Extremely low for a statewide race. In fact, to put this all in perspective, the Senate race last December, which itself was very low at 29.5% turnout, is heavy turnout compared to what I'm seeing.
And Kubian went on to say that he's noticing a seemingly more enthusiastic Democratic electorate, which he attributes to the New Orleans mayoral race being lumped in with the special election. Orleans Parish historically votes heavily Democrat. All right, meteorologist Kevin Smith standing by with an update on Tropical Storm Nate.
That's right. The latest on Nate continues to be a tropical storm right now. The still sustained winds are at 45 miles per hour with some gusts of 60. It continues to push toward the north-northwest at around 14 miles per hour. So here are the impacts we're expecting, especially as you see this 5-day forecast. The main impacts will start on Saturday night going into Sunday morning. We're talking about gusty winds in excess of 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour across the Baton Rouge metro area, as well as some heavy rainfall potential between 1 to 3 inches of rainfall possible. It appears the heaviest bands will still be up toward the south and east. We're talking about you folks over towards Gonzales, Prairieville, all the way extending up toward Livingston Parish, Dennis Springs, Walker, extending back toward the east of that to Hammond, right along the I-55 corridor. Now, if you plan on traveling down toward New Orleans, I would hold off, especially as you travel towards Saturday night into Sunday. It looks like the impact zone will be mainly toward New Orleans, toward the east. So the further east you go, the worse things will start to get. So let's look at your forecast. You see here, especially if you're traveling to Columbus Day, the storm system will quickly start to push off toward the north and east at a good clip. Columbus Day rain chances at around 40%, and then it will start to taper down to around 30% as we travel into your Tuesday. High temperature still into the 80s, and then by Wednesday, finally, Harrison, can you believe this? Some cooler air, readings right around 84 degrees. Now back over to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much. Well, they call it the wildest show in the South. The Angola Prison Rodeo enters its 53rd year this month.
84.
With offenders competing not just in rodeos, but iconic events like convict
Orwellian weather,
wild cow milking, bull riding, and the world-famous Guts and Glory. Joining me this morning, happy to have him, Gary Young, the assistant warden at the Louisiana State Penitentiary. Gary, great having you on this morning.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Of course. Well, 53 years of this one-of-a-kind event. Take us through it for those who haven't been before.
It's when you get into the normally when you get to the month of October, Louisiana is synonymous with Angola Prison Rodeo. This is our 53rd year. Started in 1964. It's a very small in-house event, and has grown to a tremendous event. And it does so many great things for our prison population.
Exactly. And just getting to that, I mean, what does this mean for the offenders every year?
It's one of the most important things that they look forward to doing. And as you said, it is the wildest show in the South. And there's so many different aspects of the rodeo, from the arts and crafts, and the gates actually open at 9 a.m. And tell people to come early so that you have time to go through the acres of inmate-made arts and crafts that are available for sale. And you know, there's some little small interesting things with that. If they buy a painting or anything they buy, that guy will pay 5% sales tax into West Louisiana and 5% into state sales tax. So they're actually giving back to a tax base.
That's amazing. And I want to get right to what we have behind us here. So we have a painting and looks like some pottery as well.
Yeah, well, it's actually a wooden bowl.
Okay.
And that's one of the hardest things I had to do is figure out what to bring. And I tell folks, come in your pickup truck, because when you get to the lawn and garden section, that's where the big porch swings and the rockers are. So, and all of these proceeds from the rodeo pay for some of our cutting-edge reentry programs that
exactly
in place.
And worth note here, these are made by the offenders.
all made by offenders. Absolutely. And the gates open at 9. Come early, go through our museum, go through.
Smells like butt sex.
And this gives you the opportunity to go through all the arts and crafts and spend the day with us.
Yeah, and so, I mean, obviously Louisiana has its mark. To our knowledge, it's often called the incarceration capital of the world. You know, 95% of those who are sentenced to prison sentences of some kind go back into society at some point or another. So obviously that means that reentry programs, rehabilitation programs, also important.
Our Secretary of Corrections, James LeBlanc, is a longtime Secretary of Corrections, and he has made this his mission to do smarter sentencing, shorter sentencing with better results. And we're seeing that with our Corrections Reentry Court.
Right.
It's an amazing program. And it's all funded through the rodeo.
Yeah, and a lot of funding from that.
So we're doing a lot. The corrections in Louisiana is really one of the most cutting-edge corrections departments in America. It really is. And the rodeo is all part of it.
That just didn't look safe right
rodeo,
there.
The arts and crafts. So just to underscore, tickets are $20.
$20.
How can people get them?
AngolaRodeo.com is the easiest way, and it's every Sunday in the month of October.
All right, and again, you know, we have information here Louisiana State Penitentiary every Sunday in October.
Every Sunday in October.
The doors open at 9 p.m.
Right. The rodeo itself starts at 2.
Okay, 2 o'clock, and we are going to go actually now to meteorologist Kevin Smith with more information tracking Tropical Storm Nate this morning. Back to you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you very much, Harrison. Indeed, here's the latest on what's happening with Nate. We'll get you caught up on what this storm system. Wind's still holding in at 45 miles per hour with those gusts of 60. It's moving towards the north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. As we move towards Saturday, at least Saturday morning, this will start to move into the Gulf, and the winds will start to increase because, as I said earlier, the temperatures in the Gulf are into the mid to upper 80s. That's fuel for this storm to gain strength, and indeed it will. Around Saturday afternoon, 70 mile per hour winds, and then becoming a Cat 1 hurricane. We're talking about a wind sustained of 80 miles per hour with some gusts, even up to 85, 90 as we push toward late Saturday night into Sunday morning. It appears that this storm system will move onshore toward the New Orleans area. That's still about 70 miles off toward the east and southeast of us, but close enough that we'll continue to see the threat for some gusty winds in excess of 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour, even some heavy rainfall potential. But it appears the heaviest rain amounts will still be out toward the south and east as you travel toward New Orleans, over toward Hammond, and even Slidell. And then the storm system will kick off toward the northeast as we move toward late on Sunday. Meanwhile, the forecast today, you see Sorrento with some sunshine, high of 87, Port Allen at 88 degrees, Clinton at 88, Walker, some sunshine at 87. Here we go with those regional travel forecasts.
This guy makes Al Roker look like a gangster rapper.
New Orleans rain chances pick up to around 20%, and you'll see a temperature of 85 degrees. Houston at 88 degrees with some sunshine, and Atlanta, GA, 84. So here we go with your day planner. Top out into the 80s, right around 88 before it's all said and done, and warm. Reminders of wear that sunscreen. And then later this evening, increasing cloud cover, and we'll see those rain chances at around 20%. Of course, we have our news and weather coming up. And then
well, 5 minutes, time to go.
Sports.
And now, Brian Holland with Go Nation.
With a tropical storm and possibly hurricane headed our way through the Gulf, plenty of college football programs making the move and moving some of those games up. The Southern Jaguars doing so, moving their game up against Alabama A&M to 1 p.m. They've also postponed the homecoming parade and party there on campus. Northwestern State and Nichols, they're going to do it on the Bayou, 11 a.m. They're in Thibodeau, and then kickoff in Hammond for Southeastern. Actually, not listed right here, but they're going to play 10 a.m. How about Major League Baseball last night for LSU Tiger? Making his mark over there in Houston. Alex Bregman to the Crawford boxes. His first postseason appearance, his first postseason at bat ends in a home run. Got the Astros on the board as they cruise to an 8-2 win. By the way, Jose Altuve, you're about to see one of his 3 home runs on the night. It was scoring galore as the Astros win Game 1. That was some high school football, St. Michael versus Woodlawn here in Baton Rouge. Warriors and Panthers. Warriors can't really get anything going there in the first quarter. Woodlawn already up 7-0 in the first. A little trickeration on the next drive. The hook and ladder. That's not going to work, and Jim Bob isn't out there. Still in the first. It will set up, I should say, a field goal for 43 yards. Plenty of leg right there. And some nice running, some nice legs right here as the Panthers would score on the next drive as well, making it 17-0. Final of that one, 38-7. Here's a few more high school scores from last night. St. Michael, of course, Woodlawn, the winner there. McKinley goes on the road to Broadmoor, gets a win. Episcopal goes to the Church Academy, gets a 15-6 win. And the Kittens of Southern Lab put up 80 on St. John Fleck. For your Go Nation, I'm Brian Holland.
All right, Brian, thank you so much. 6:51 this morning. Time to take a look at your morning headlines.
Governor John Bel Edwards has declared a state of emergency ahead of Tropical Storm Nate.
And the governor is asking you to be in a safe place with food, water, and supplies by 8 o'clock Saturday night, he says. Not a mandatory curfew, but for your safety, says the governor. Also mobilizing 1,300 National Guard members that will be available to deploy if parishes are affected by Nate. Of course, we can stay with Local 33 News and our website, brproud.com tonight, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock, and all weekend long as we keep you updated with the latest storm information.
And U.S. Attorney Corey Amundson, along with EBR District Attorney Hiller Moore, have announced details of a plan to fight crime here in the capital city as that murder rate continues to rise. Part of that plan is starting a strike force that's meant to tackle and target gang activity and the violence. Amundson says he has a team in training right now to go after drug users and traffickers in our area. The DA says he wants to make it very clear that their goal is not to fill the prisons, but the goal is to truly start preventing crime.
And attorneys for Alton Sterling's family have sent a letter to Louisiana State Attorney General Jeff Landry's office. They're requesting to hear the audio and the video captured in the moments before and after his death. You may recall Sterling was shot and killed by a Baton Rouge police officer on July 5th of last year. The audio and video have not previously been released to the public. The family is requesting a private viewing of the footage, and they say doing so would not interfere with the Attorney General's ongoing investigation.
I would say, well, changing gears, some very interesting weather moving our way for the next 48 hours. You wouldn't know about looking outside right now.
It's been a very busy hurricane season this year.
You got that right. The last time we actually had 3 tropical systems affecting Houston, New Orleans, and Miami in the same season was back in 2000. And that dreaded year, 2005, we had that storm with that name of K. We don't want to mention that storm. That's not a bad name we don't mention around here. Okay, let's take a look at what's happening with our headlines, shall we? Get out and enjoy the nice weather today on this TGIF, but some changes moving our way this weekend in the form of Nate. And then a front will move in by the latter part of the Saturday, making it feel more like the fall across the area. We want to see that, right? Current temperatures out the door, not bad. We're actually 64 degrees here in Baton Rouge. We're 62, at least up to Interstate 55, and to Jackson and further up 55. Memphis at 64, but 58, and the Nashville alone, I-40. And you take I-40 the other direction, Oklahoma City, temperature of 67 degrees. Cal Interstate's in there this morning. Regional satellite and radar composite. Not that much happening here. Off toward the east, tropical wave bringing some rain showers into Florida. And we're dealing with some rain showers well to the west of us, 750 miles in association with a series of fronts. The first one that will affect us by the latter part of the 7 day. Here we go. The tropics we go. Tropical storm Nate still holding those winds at 45 with gusts of 60, moving toward the north-northwest at around 14 miles per hour, projected to move into the Gulf as we travel to your Saturday. Winds will start to increase to 70 miles per hour and then sustained at around 80 miles per hour to make landfall on at least tomorrow night into Sunday morning. Now, what's happening with Nate? Notice when you walk outside, it feels pretty good because of dry air. That's all that brown you see there. That's entrenched across our area. Now, Nate is running into that dry air, and dry air actually is not good for a tropical system, but notice all of this white and gray, that's all that moist air. It's starting to move in from the south and east. That's why our dew points will start to increase as we travel toward later this evening. Now, the NHC, that's the National Hurricane Center, as well as the National Weather Service, has at least the eastern and southeastern parishes under a hurricane watch, at least for the next 48 hours, including you folks over toward Ascension and Livingston Parish within the next 48 hours, expecting wind gusts of 74 before it's all said and done. We have tropical surge watches and warnings from Hammond down to Interstate 55 and to St. John the Baptist Parish. We're expecting those tides to go about 3 to 6 feet above normal. So the fugitive gas is places into motion, showing a little bit of some bands starting pushing toward the southeast, and then we'll start to pick up really as we travel towards your Saturday evening, and then the heaviest amounts of precipitation still off toward the south and east as we make our way toward Friday, at least on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Here we go, the futurecast precipitation still showing the heaviest amounts off toward the south and east as we travel into your Sunday as well as on Monday morning. So the impacts are across our area. Some high wind gusts, heavy rainfall potential, as well as some high surf. Of course, we keep you advised throughout the weekend on Facebook, Twitter, as well as on Local 33 at brproud.com. Temperatures off to the northwest, very chilly. That's that cold air moving our way. So here we go with the forecast, air forecast looking pretty good. And then the evening will start to go a little bit on the caution side. And we have our game day forecast sponsored by MGM. And returnees, you see temperatures sent to the 80s with a chance of rain. 7-day forecast will have temperatures into the mid-80s with rain chances picking up for the weekend at 70%. Everyone stay cautious out there.
This guy's blackness.
Overnight lows into the 60s and the 50s by the latter part of the 7-day. Let's take a look at the brproud.com traffic update this morning. We have it broadened out. because we're not expecting an evacuation of the New Orleans area. If you're traveling down there, I'll do it today, tomorrow, not a good story, but across the Baton Rouge metro area, just a little bit of some delays westbound along I-12. Everyone take it easy today. And by the way, if you have any lawn furniture that's outside, I would tie it down this evening or tomorrow morning because those wind gusts by tomorrow night in excess of 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour.
All right. Kevin, thank you so much for traveling, man. You'll keep doing
Sounds
it.
like fun.
Throughout the weekend.
That's right.
That's our job, A1.
Definitely going to want to make sure to keep Tropical Storm Nate online. But trending this morning, we have a really great feel-good story. A little Gonzales boy has dreams of one day becoming a policeman. So one local officer takes him under his wing to show him the ropes.
That's right. We have Local 33's Carla Pizzono. Inspiring story.
Hey, Tyson. Hey, Jose. What's up, buddy?
Jake Manuel and Gonzales police officer Tyson Dennis are new best buddies. They met while Jake was outside playing in his police costume.
I was riding, and I was on the phone, and I saw a little bitty police officer standing on the side of the road, and it just blew my mind. I was like,
a little bitty police officer.
That little police officer.
It's the cutest little episode of my life.
So Officer Tyson started to do traffic stops with him. A video that went viral on social media with close to 1 million views and thousands of shares.
Better than me. All the guys said he was training me.
Jake then invited Officer Tyson to his 5th birthday party and never expected what would show up.
Police cars, one fire truck.
My whole thing was to make him happy.
Officer Tyson is continuing to show Jake the ropes at the police station.
Wait up, Tyson.
How you doing, bud? I'm seeing you on the internet.
He's such a loving person. It's not what he said, it's what he does. The way he looks at me. You know, when he looked at me, I was like, oh, I love him. He's not mine, but he is mine. Just like every kid in his house, they were me. But him, he's special in my book.
Finished training Officer Tyson yet?
Okay.
Is he doing a good job?
I hope Jake one day will be GPD #1, chief of police, and he can come pick me up as an old man and ride me around. See you next time, little buddy. That was a good deal, right?
And as for this dynamic duo,
Jake, the Snake, and Tyson, bad boys for life. Ride together, die together, bad boys for life. And they're really buddy. That's right.
Bad boys for life. That was so cute.
Jake the Snake and Tyson. What a kid and what an officer. Really incredible guy.
What a great guy. What a good crime-fighting duo there in Gonzales.
Yeah, it really shows the positive side of law enforcement and the services they provide.
We call it everyone backing the blue. That's a good
Exactly. Well, today's show is next. Thank you so much for waking up with Local 33 News today.
For more news, weather, and sports anytime, visit our website, weareproud.com. Have a great day and an even better weekend.
See you Monday.
Breaking overnight, Nate turns deadly. The tropical storm battering Central America, already killing more than 20 people. And hurricane watches are now posted for the entire Gulf Coast as the storm slowly makes its way to the U.S. Ominous warning.
what storm, Mr. President?
President Trump raising eyebrows with that cryptic comment during a photo op with senior military leaders. What is he talking about? More targets. Officials telling NBC News the Las Vegas gunman researched other possible locations to attack. Iconic Fenway Park in Boston, the popular Lollapalooza Festival in Chicago, as we learn about the mysterious note he left behind. Those stories, plus degrading and disrespectful.
What I did was extremely unacceptable.
Cam Newton's apology to women. OJ formally registers with police as part of his parole. And home run fever.
Altuve. Red Sox lost again.
Cleveland and Houston slugged their way to big playoff wins over the Yankees and Red Sox. A quadruple header on tap today, Friday, October 6th, 2017.
From NBC News, this is Today with Matt Lauer and Savannah Guthrie. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to Today. Nice to have you with us on a Friday morning. I'm Savannah Guthrie. Happy to have Craig in from Matt this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Always good to see you. It's been a very busy week, a very busy Friday as well. Lots to get to. We start with that newest storm threat that millions of Americans wake up facing today.
That's right. Nate is expected to hit the Gulf Coast as a hurricane this weekend, but right now it is cutting a deadly path in Central America. And this brings us to Al, who just walked over from looking at your maps. Good morning.
Yeah, right now in Central America, 20 people dead at least right now. This is a deadly storm, and it now poses a real threat to the Gulf Coast, the Central Gulf Coast. Its current location right now, it's 60 miles east-northeast of Isla Guajana, Honduras, 45-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving north-northwest at 14 miles per hour. There's the Yucatan Peninsula, Cancun in its path. We expect it to cross there sometime late Friday night, tonight, into early tomorrow morning. Then it's out into the Gulf. It strengthens into a Category 1 storm. Now, the cone of uncertainty extends out 120 miles either way, so a total diameter of 140 miles per hour. Sunday morning, around 1 a.m., it makes landfall as a Category 1 storm. Now, we put the U.S. model on top of it. The European model now has shifted even a little further west. This would be the worst-case scenario for New Orleans because it brings what we call the dirty side or the stronger side of the storm into New Orleans, and that would be a big problem. Right now, we have hurricane watches up, heavy rain, flash flooding, tropical storm force winds, storm surge, and rough surf. Last time New Orleans had a hurricane watch up was back in 2013, so it's been a while since they've been in the crosshairs. A storm surge threat for 5 to 8 feet above high tide in New Orleans, along the LA coast, the Louisiana coast, 4 to 7 feet. Alabama, 2 to 4 feet, and the rainfall amounts anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. Locally 5 to 10 inches down through New Orleans, Pensacola, but this thing rockets up. And look at this, guys. We're talking about anywhere from 5 to 10 inches of rain along that coast, that path of Nate. And in fact, Tuesday, we'll be looking at rain from Nate here in the Northeast and New England.
Another storm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Now to some new developments in the Las Vegas shooting investigation. This morning, investigators are piecing together a clearer profile of the shooter. They're also learning more about other cities that he may have been targeting for possible attacks. NBC's Miguel Almaguer is in Las Vegas. Miguel, good morning to you.
Greg, good morning. The crime scene next to the Mandalay Bay behind me is still being processed, but investigators now say some of their best leads could come from the gunman's electronic footprint. Cell phones and computers could offer new leads.
This morning, a daylight look at the crime scene outside Mandalay Bay. A bird's-eye view of the aftermath, the carnage that took place here just 5 days ago. New images from that night showing panicked concert-goers in a race to stay alive. This as law enforcement officials tell NBC News, shooter Stephen Paddock searched online for hotels near Boston's Fenway Park and events at the Center for the Arts. He even went as far as booking a room in a Chicago hotel overlooking the Lollapalooza Music Festival in August, though he never checked in.
It appears that he was looking for the right venue, the right time. Perhaps it simply had to feel right for him.
12 of the guns found in Paddock's Las Vegas hotel room were outfitted with bump-fire stocks, designed to allow his semi-automatic weapons to function like fully automatic rifles, enabling him to kill 58 people and injure hundreds more in just over 10 minutes. In light of Sunday's shooting, even some top Republicans in Washington and the NRA were calling for additional regulations on bump-fire stocks. Fire Chief Greg Castle describing the chaos and initial confusion. Is this a single event, or are we now under a Mumbai-style attack where we've got multiple things going on in multiple properties? The actions of the lone gunman now known, but why is still unclear. Officials say his girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, told authorities Paddock may have suffered from mental health issues and would sometimes lie in bed crying out, "Oh my God." This morning, investigators trying to make sense of this senseless massacre.
Investigators say they had received tips that Paddock actually was with a woman the day of the shooting, but so far they've not been able to locate her, and for now they say there is no evidence he planned to make an escape. Matt, Craig.
One ran the stop sign this morning.
So much.
NBC's Justice correspondent Pete Williams has new information on the investigation. And Pete, as we say good morning, let's pick it up right where Miguel left off. The girlfriend's saying there's some kind of mental health issue with the shooter. What are you learning?
Well, that's something they very much want to dig into, and they're getting different accounts of it. His brother has said that he knew of no serious illness. Now, we know Paddock was taking Valium. That's a widely prescribed anti-anxiety medication. Some neighbors have said he recently looked like he'd lost a lot of weight, and then there's that girlfriend's statement about him crying out in agony at night, but investigators say they have yet to find any health problems, either physical or mental, that were grave enough to push him into becoming a killer.
They run the stop sign, I chase them down. They at least get me in their rear view with my fucking lights flashing. Okay,
there was a note. You can see it in one of the pictures that was leaked by somebody in the police department. See that circle on the right? There's a little table there with a pen next to it. Both local and federal officials say this was not a suicide note. And it doesn't say anything obvious. It clearly doesn't say anything about the shooting. It's apparently a bunch of numbers. They're trying to figure out what the significance of that is.
And then the sheriff the other day said that he thought the shooter must have had some kind of help. Have we learned anything more about the theory there, the working theory?
I think it remains a theory. It's a critical focus of the investigation, but officials say so far, for example, they believe he bought all the guns himself that were in the hotel room, and he bought the thousands of rounds of ammunition. That is harder to track, but in fact, they've already talked to some of the dealers who sold him ammunition.
Pete, what about all of those explosives that were found in his car? Do officials think that he was trying to make a car bomb as well?
Have they been working on it since I snapped my fingers?
I mean, they are German. That explosive material, none of it had been mixed. That stuff called tannerite, it comes in two parts. You have to mix it together. So just sitting there.
Okay, so like years ago, at least 2 years ago, probably 3 years ago, I did a finger snap for a new Volkswagen bus, the hippie bus, you know? Yes, we're on the TheLostBegotten channel. The channel is back. What's up, Joey? But, wait, what were we just talking about?
Volkswagen.
The hippie van, I snapped my fingers to try to make it happen just a couple years ago. Like, but I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I'm like, wait, did it take that long for them to... Oh, wait, they're the Germans. Yeah, probably took them that long. They're just finally bringing a concept to what show was it? Was it Geneva? Probably the Geneva Auto Show. Oh, good morning, Sean. We were delving into Gaelic last night and kind of missed you. Because we were basically expanding upon the Jesus Nazareth as being Jesus of Zareth, or Zarathustra. And I kind of had the feeling, and then we started looking up Gaelic words and found out that nah could mean of. Anyway, what's this?
What storm is
Where has all the volume
White House
gone?
officials did not explain what he meant. This as the president was furious at his top diplomat, Rex Tillerson, Wednesday. 5 senior officials tell NBC News. After learning for the first time from an NBC News report Wednesday morning that the Secretary of State had called him a moron on July 20th, following a Pentagon meeting on Afghanistan. 4 officials say the president only learned of these insults from the NBC report. The Vice President Mike Pence also fuming, according to 7 senior officials. He and Tillerson talked, and Tillerson then came out at 11 o'clock Wednesday morning, trying to quiet the controversy.
I have never considered leaving this post.
Tillerson did not deny making the moron remark, though the State Department later did.
He did not say that.
Chief of Staff John Kelly then abruptly scrapping plans to travel to Las Vegas with the president Wednesday, in part to try to contain his boss's fury and manage the fallout, according to 6 officials, summoning Tillerson and Defense Secretary Mattis to the White House to decide what to do next. Thursday night, Mattis and Kelly were flanking the president when he delivered a warning to Iran, previewing a new policy to be announced next week.
We must put an end to Iran's continued aggression and nuclear ambitions. They have not lived up to the spirit of their agreement.
And at that same meeting with his military advisors, just before the dinner we showed you earlier, the president said, quote, "Tremendous progress has been made with respect to ISIS, and I guess the media is going to be finding out about that over the next short period of time." A very suggestive comment about some coming action that neither he nor his advisors would explain. Savannah and Craig.
All right, now Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrew Mitchell. Andrew, thank you.
Well, I'll sit you over with NBC's Chuck Todd, moderator of Meet the Press. Chuck, I hope you brought your crystal ball, because, or your tea leaves or something. I mean, what do you make of this comment? Then let's set the scene again. The president with his military advisors and their spouses saying this is the calm before the storm. What storm?
Well, I mean, look, the storm that I think he's dealing with right now the most is the storm having to do with Rex Tillerson, his Secretary of State, what to do. Does he let him go? Obviously, the Iran deal is going to be a big deal as far as the world is concerned, and there's North Korea. So I get the idea that there's a bunch of potential avenues this is. But for what it's worth, internally in that White House, the storm is Tillerson.
Chuck, do you think it's a question at this point of when, not if, Secretary Tillerson decides he's had enough? Or decides he's had enough?
It looks to me it's more of a win instead of an if here. They're in a situation that's a bit untenable. You have, because what is the world seeing here? This isn't the president having a dispute with his labor secretary. This is the president having a dispute with the person that is the face of American diplomacy for the world. So that the office of the presidency, to have the Secretary of State disparage him, and it's not good.
It wouldn't be surprising to me if they were ultra-waving him to get him to behave.
Have his leadership questioned like this for around the world. So, look, I think they're in a situation where it's just not a good place for either one of them. I don't think he can be an effective Secretary of State right now.
And apparently, according to our reporting, the president was furious when he heard that Rex Tillerson had called him a moron, something that Tillerson himself did not come right out and deny saying.
And that is, I think, what is, I think, turns, look, this is why I think when he refers to storm, he's referring to that. You wonder if the Secretary of State had denied himself saying that word on camera. As you recall, the president was midair when Rex Tillerson did this extraordinary news conference. He was midair on his way to Las Vegas, so he was watching live. As our reporting indicates, when he didn't deny that comment, it might as well have been a confirmation, and that just amped up, I think, the president's op.
Yeah, well, he didn't deny it because if a fucking leaked recording comes out later and contradicts him and shows that he actually said it, he actually said it. So we know that he actually said it. We know that he actually said it. There's just, if he didn't say it, he would have fucking denied it. Okay. But if you're reading in the comments right now, off topic, be warned. From last night, we were going into comparisons with Japanese common words, and found that the Gaelic that I understand to come from ancient Egyptian is also the root of Japanese. Or the ancient Egyptian that I understand to be the root of Gaelic is also the root of Japanese. And we found many different, very common Japanese words that back this up. Didn't we, Max? So if you'd like to check that out, go on to last night's broadcast of Don't Mess with the Baby Jesus. Which should wind up being renamed 101 Reasons to subscribe to the Lost Begotten channel. Because we, yeah, I think we might. What?
Yes, one offense. A lot.
I was saying blunt enough for you?
Oh my god, it's Friday.
Yes.
I fucking made it to Friday. Holy
Yours
shit.
for dirt.
Oh my god.
So, I don't really care about this crap. Get it off my TV. There we go. Oh, much better. So, do you know about this?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead and fill us in, dear.
So, Harvey Weinstein, who is one of Hollywood's biggest moguls, I guess you'd call him. He's like behind almost everything in Hollywood. He has been accused apparently of years of sexual misconduct with celebrities. And the New York Times came out with a story about it, and it's causing a big controversy. And he's talking about how he got started back in the 60s when, you know, it was a different time. Like, okay, you remember Scrubs, how Bob Kelso was, that episode where Bob Kelso was harassing the nurses? And he was saying how it was a different time when he started in the hospital? Same fucking principle. It's like that's Bob Kelso up there.
It was a different time.
It was a different time. We did things differently back then. So he's under a whole lot of scrutiny right now about supposedly sexual misconduct with celebrities, including Ashley Judd, Rose McGowan and stuff, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that special?
And, like, the only reason I know about this stuff is because when I go to log into the court information stuff for our parish, it's a news thing that's my homepage, so I see all, like, top stories, and sometimes they catch my eye, and I'm like, what the hell? You heard about the Vegas dude, right? Apparently he'd been scoping out places for a while. He got a hotel room in Chicago during Lollapalooza. And it was a hotel room that he requested that was facing the crowd. Like, he was either going to attack them or was scoping it out to get ready for another one.
I bet you he was on standby for quite some time until Team Trumpsha decided that, oh no, this revelation that's coming out, this is the nail in the coffin. They're basically going to announce what amounts to our fucking guilt, and they did the past couple days. So much shit has come out pointing to actual collusion and actual treason, and the word treason is being used on the news, okay, regarding the Trump team, okay. And this guy's probably been with his handler, okay, and I think there was a handler and a crone. No, the old lady telling the people 45 minutes before. That's the crone. That's how I know this was a Russian operation and not just some asshole. They can't figure out his motivation. There is no motivation. The crone is the motivation. You find that crone, you'll figure out what the hell the motivation was.
They said the girlfriend started talking. Supposedly, he had night terrors or something. Like, he would wake up screaming in the middle of the night and shit.
I think the girlfriend was in on something, and possibly even a non-captive hostage.
He sent like $100,000 to her home country right before all this happened.
Does everybody understand what a non-captive hostage is?
Munchausen's.
When you're talking about a government, okay, like Russia, telling you that you do this, or this person dies, what then happens? You send them the fuck away, don't you? You send them back to their home country if they're an immigrant. You send them where you know they'll be safe, where their family can look after them. It's perfectly consistent. Right.
You know, I just had an interesting thought about something that happened a few years ago.
So I don't know why this is eluding investigators. Like, they really need to just talk to me, because apparently, like, whatever this spiritual reality that we're in right now is, it's making people dumb and just unaware. And I think their fear is misguiding them. I think people are afraid to realize things because they prove that their fear is real. The fear is that Russia is more powerful than we really understood.
Yeah, it's a little terrifying to me.
But it's true.
There's a country music festival thing going on in Gonzales this weekend.
Country Music Festival in Gonzales.
Mm-hmm. For 2 days. It's a Saturday and Sunday thing.
I might volunteer to fucking patrol the hotels.
It's at the Lamar Dixon. There are no hotels right there. No, like really, like there are no hotels.
Any kind of surrounding buildings or anything.
That's the advantage to being where we are. Like I think the only place would be a bad outdoor concert would possibly be if they did it when they do Live After 5 downtown. But those are government buildings, not hotels.
And also
that are surrounding the plaza.
You got somebody open up on the crowd around here. You're gonna have 35 motherfuckers with hand cannons opening back up on them. And there ain't no tall enough building for that to, you know, not like the 27th floor of the, what you call it, the Mandalay. What was the floor that he was on? The window was the 27th floor?
32nd.
32nd. And, oh yeah, that was a reporter was on the 27th floor. Around here, there wouldn't be no height advantage like that. And around here, there's just as many people with concealed carry permits as don't give a fuck. In fact, there's probably more people that just don't give a fuck. And somebody opens up on a crowd around here, they will be opened up on in return.
Right.
In fact, there will be people at this country music festival, quote, wishing a motherfucker would. I guarantee it. Like, I know the people around here. That's just how they are, you know? I think I should make one video to rule them all. I mean, one video from XSplit, like just as a standalone. I'm gonna do like an experiment with standalone recordings and then upload it later. I don't know if I even can do that with this trial version. Still haven't had money to pay for it. But I want to do a video called Like a Boss. The unknown truth about Hillary Clinton, Benghazi, and the Russians. going to say at the beginning of the video, this video is not intended to whine about the results of the election or to beg for it to be overturned. This video is to prove, beyond any reasonable doubt, that every day that goes by that Donald Trump is allowed to pretend to be president etches in stone, and etches in the stones of history, a little equal sign between America and idiots. That was almost clever. Not quite, but close. Close to being clever.
Well, New Orleans is expecting a 5 to 8 foot storm surge, and Mission Landry's claiming that the pumping stations are at 92% functioning capacity. Kites. That would make sense.
Just go running. Apparently there's new octopus kites. Giant fucking psychedelic trippy looking squiggly fucking tentacles everywhere. Octopus kites. Ermagerd. It's an Earthburst. Now, if you want to terrify a bunch of people who are on LSD, come running towards them with an octopus kite behind you, like you're running away from it. Those fucking things are scary looking. Hell, I want to take some acid just to play with a bunch of them, just terrify myself. Oh my God! Ah! It's awesome! I want it to eat me! Eat me! I'd be jumping through the air with my sword, trying to kill it like a hollow. Oh my God, that would be so much fun! New game! Oh, now see, how do you get a theme park? Oh, a new idea for a theme park. Like a bleach theme park with inflatable hollows that you just go through and like fucking cut the shit out of. You know, just like the Soul Reapers do. Have like smoke inside of them, so when you slice through them, there's smoke. Oh, that'd be great. This might be the greatest idea ever, I think. I'm such a moron. I say that shit just to make my wife roll her eyes at me because she's cute when she does it. So yeah, like okay, so a theme park, live action dojo. There you go. Bleach live action dojo. That's a great phrasing, man. You go and you choose your character, and they got costumers and Zanpakutos, in maybe 2 different sizes, whether or not you're like a small person or a big person, right? It's like a Musashi and a katana, Zanpakuto for everyone. Except for Gin, then it would be like A Bushido and a dagger. Oh yes, we have to raise a black cat to hang around the front of the place. Oh yes.
We got midnight. He talks enough.
But we gotta raise one to be people friendly and.
He's
like,
people friendly.
No, you don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Like really people friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's too late for him, but probably be better off starting with a fresh kid. Okay. Why would you do that to me?
I'm your wife and I love you. And I'm saying right here I have to love you. Wow. It was funny.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. Actually, the whole motif could be the Urahara shop. The lobby could be the candy store. And like the whole thing could be like hollow training, dummy hollow training.
Yeah, but then you gotta have a beach section so that we can have the watermelon smashing.
Yeah, how hard would it be to build an underground wave pool? We'd have to go to like Central Florida up in the mountain. Yeah, there you go. Underground beach. Underground wave pool. But then, okay. We'll need something that can inflate the octopus balloons under the water. Okay. So then, like, they'll grow under the wave pool, right? And then get released. Like, have a diver down there, right? And fill the thing with helium or the helium O2 mix that we decide on or whatever. And like release it from under the water. So it comes bursting out of the water all of a sudden. It scares the shit out of everyone. That'd be fucking badass. Do that, Max? Like, if you really made this like a premium entertainment service, okay, which it really needs to be to work, you could mainly because of legal issues, but you could have a diver once an event inside the wave pool or inside the little fake beach area, and have him with a compressed balloon inflating tank inflate an octopus or one of the big watermelon monsters while it's underwater. Inflate it under the water and have it basically just like as soon as it's done tied off and let go, or really it doesn't even need to be tied off. It won't be hold that long. Plus that might help it move around, have a little bit of the balloon fart effect. And man, like once an event, right, have like everything as like a maybe a 3-hour event storytelling kind of scenario, right? Maybe even 5 hours and 1 hour to clean up. So you have a 12-hour day, 2 6-hour shifts, something like that. And when they're hanging out on the beach, just chilling, just suddenly fucking giant watermelon thing just comes out of the fucking water floating in the air and shit. Octowater pussies. It's kind of redundant. Have a good day, Joey.
Bye, Joey.
Try not to have too much fun.
Did you hear about Trump's comments last night?
Did you hear about Trump's comments last night?
Apparently he was having dinner with, with a bunch of top military leaders last night. And, he said today was the calm before the storm. That was yesterday. And then a reporter from CNN asked what he meant. And he said, "You'll find out." And he was talking about, actually, his exact...
He said he was talking about ISIS.
He said, "Recently we have had challenges that we really should have taken care of a long time ago, like North Korea, Iran, Afghanistan, ISIS, and the revolutionist powers that threaten our interests all around the world. Tremendous progress has been made with respect to ISIS, and I guess the media is going to be finding out about that over the next short period of time." Reporters repeatedly asked him to clarify what storm, but he refused to answer. And he's been criticizing Tillerson, saying he's wasting his time trying to negotiate with North Korea.
Good kitty.
Tiger Lily and Misha are playing.
She just like sideways hopped toward Misha.
So yeah.
Tiger Lily, you don't need to look any bigger. You're like 80 times her size. I was surprised at that. An hour after the acid and the Kool-Aid kicks in. Wow. That is a hilarious thought. No, but still a hilarious thought. I remember being in a conversation about the law regarding that as far as transferability goes, or spiking, or giving it to somebody against their will. And around here you get put in jail for that for a long fucking time. It's considered attempted murder, if I'm not mistaken. Just for LSD. And you know what? I kind of agree with that. Even as someone who's done LSD and enjoyed it. Like, that's some intense shit. And like, nobody should have to endure that without wanting to, you know?
Why does Mike Pence want to go back to the moon?
That can go really... Because when Republicans get bored, they want to go back to the moon.
He wants to see boots on the moon. Does that mean he wants to put our troops on the moon? Yeah, boots on the ground means send your troops in. He wants boots on the moon.
Maybe he's talking about Donald Trump's ass.
6.3 magnitude earthquake hit off eastern Japan 4 hours ago, near Fukushima. earthquake follows several recent activity around the Pacific Rim's Ring of Fire that brought serious quakes to Mexico and New Zealand.
You know, Max, I was just thinking, man. Here? I just said I was just thinking.
Uh-oh.
There you go. I want you to miss your cue.
I was singing It's the End of the World in my head. And I feel fine.
Okay.
I had to finish it before I reacted.
So let me put this thought on the paper after asking Max and any other IT professionals how many times they've seen a satellite dish or a receiver array, you know, any type of array pointing up. Like I've worked with beamed internet. Okay. A beamed T5. And there wasn't anything in that whole system pointing up. I just want to know if anybody's ever actually worked on, not just like seen a picture of, but actually worked on something that used a satellite. I'm talking straight up. Geopositionary or geostationary orbit. Kidding. Nope. Get out of there. And how about you stop peeing everywhere, too? What are you doing running from me?
He wants to play.
Silly. Come on, go pee in there.
I was going to be a Republican for Halloween, but my head wouldn't fit up my ass.
Okay. You were going to be a what?
I was going to be a Republican for Halloween, but my head wouldn't fit up my ass.
I was going to be a Republican for Halloween, but my head would not fit up my ass.
What?
That gets like the Edgar Allan Poe Poetry Prize for fucking 2017 right there. That's ha. I want to lick that person, like whoever made that up. Give me your hand, ma'am, or sir. You are a poet.
And you didn't even know.
And now you know it. Somehow that communicates that in this joke. Anyways. So. Let's do some stuff I've been holding back combined with some stuff that is anew. Now, is everybody familiar with the UFO thing, the Bell House thing, right? where superconductive mercury supposedly, possibly, it's a very interesting theory, spins around like so, and creates a gravitational field, anti-gravitational field, an inertial dampening field. Okay. So what if someone made a much more powerful one of these, not to reduce inertia, but to cause it? Now, if you found yourself here, well, I think we were watching yesterday, Max, something that I've shown, or something that was similar to something I've shown before, and this is not my theory, what we're talking about here. It's something that I think is not correct, but one of the more interesting theories, and certainly a perfectly decent way to explain something as a possibility. Something doesn't have to be correct to be possible. And that's these images here showing the superconductive interaction, and this was a scientific Hindu, basically, interpretation of flat Earth. But I tell you what, I've never seen anything that so accurately coincides with my memory of things and my understanding of things. You see the cosmic egg, okay? Fuck.
Listen.
Hey.
I was doing that at work yesterday.
Just absolutely stunning as far as the way they're very well, I mean, just they spent more time on this than I could ever have to focus on anything, right? And made this beautiful graphic presentation. I need to find the image where I have the channel listed. But this is This is showing the difference between space-time and the heavens. Look at that. This is exactly how I've explained things. And it shows that pillar at the center and how reality sort of stretches from it. But you see the egg shape versus now the sphere shape, or relatively flat shape, pancake-like shape. But even as it moves from egg to sphere, that point gets shorter, that cone gets flatter too. And then you have this segregated reality that becomes physical that we're in today, with the heavens above. And here, Max, is the image that looks like that little screensaver they had on that newscast we were watching on Google Hangouts yesterday. Not on a broadcast, y'all. We were just in a Google Hangouts. And future reference, if I get any YouTube advisement about, you know, discussing news and doing live reactions to it, holy crap. Sorry. My face is fucking exploding. If I get any advisement that they don't want me doing that, I will. Here. I will basically just, you know, have people who get to know us in the chat or whatever, even as the even eventually as a subscriber base is allowed to grow. Oh, I actually had a chance to pet the cat. Hey, kitten. You're staying by me and everything, not running off. Wow. Anyways, as I was saying, as the subscriber base is allowed to grow, eventually, if it is allowed to grow, if and when it is allowed to grow, if they don't want me doing that, all I gotta do is just let me know, and I'll stop doing that. Even though I, you know, have communicated with MSNBC my intention and everything, and they made no objections. They know who the hell I am too. MSNBC knows who the hell I am. Okay, don't make any mistakes about that. MSNBC people know who I am. They had to have figured it out by now. Not that I'm Jesus. No. Not that I'm John the Baptist. Not that I'm even a reincarnated being, Merlin, or any of that. Okay? The other side of it. My disclaimer side of it. I'm a smartass who's been driven by fate to undertake an experiment. And if leaving the question open on whether or not I'm pretending to be Jesus just to keep from getting assassinated, blah, blah, blah. Keeps people interested and at least is a way for me to acknowledge their skepticism in everything that I do, and keep myself down to their level, you know. I have to keep doing that. I have to keep a certain level of ambiguity. Those who have done long-form studies of this channel, they think I'm something, okay? And they know better than to say, there's Jesus. As we were just discussing last night, in Gaelic, Jesus Nazareth means I am of Zareth. Jesus Nazareth. And Zareth even breaks down, but is actually just short for Zarathustra. But that breaks down itself. There were two reasons why the word Jesus was chosen as a name. One is to cover up the name Jesus, which is a female. Okay? So if there was somebody named Jesus at the time, it was a girl. Alright? The other reason is to configurate the identities of John and Mary, John the Baptist, and Mary, who is depicted as John the brother of Jesus in most paintings and stories. Stories, not scriptures. John and Mary basically combine to make I am. And you have a clear contradiction of possibilities in the book of Acts, which I have said is not a book I recognize. It is there to test people, to see if they were paying attention to what they were reading previous to it. And in this book you have the phrasing that Stephen, a guy named Steve, okay, a fucking guy named Steve, really? Basically did things that are clearly just part of Christ's story, and is accused of doing things that Christ did. We're supposed to believe that this is the story of a saint, okay, and by this reason men were ruled, okay, by each other, not their hearts, not God. But this was all done under the guise of prevention of blasphemy. Because if you spoke Greek, or you spoke Aramaic, or you spoke Hebrew, or you spoke Yiddish, or you spoke whatever, okay, and you said, I am, if you said the holy name, in a language other than your own, you did not commit blasphemy. How do you name a deity whose name is I am? Because when you say I am, aren't you speaking in first person? So therefore you're committing blasphemy by saying the name of God, aren't you? It's not some silly rule. It's just logic. You never thought of that, did you? So by saying Jesus, by saying Jesus, by saying Jesus, Je suis, you're saying I am in another language. So you're calling the man God. You're not using his name, you're calling him God. You're saying Jesus Christ. You're saying God the Messiah. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. But yes, I very much just feel that as what I call the chakras of the heavens, basically. And chakras are not something that human bodies have, okay? Just no. I don't know. Well, I know exactly where this comes from. It comes from trying to ascend before you're ready to, okay? And it's a trick that basically turns you into a gateway that is like a fucking a water fountain for demons to drink from. Okay, it basically just takes your potential and saps it right out of you. Okay, it's really that fucking straightforward. That's what modern New Age bullshit does. And I very much hope that Hindus one day realize what the tricksters have done to them and take their place as antediluvian people. They are the enslaved Levites. They were the ones allowed into the temple of Venusia. The temple that Hathor built in reverence to Gabriel before she rebelled. A temple the size of a continent. And that's a memory I just got. Boy, I just got my fucking nose just dripping. I'm coughing. Oh. Cough and blow my nose again. Hold on. Oh, and Maximo says the entire continent was built as a temple according to their mythos. Alright. So let's get back to IT. Alright? Let's get back to what we know, what we're good at. What we can see as proofs, if anything. And then there became people who claimed that Jesus came through there in order to cover up the fact that Jesus came through there. How interesting is that? I'm not even speaking in a riddle, and it sounds like one. Oh my god, really? My nose is running again? I just blew it. I just blew my fucking nose. Alright, it's time to resort to a snot drill, because I don't feel like blowing it again. This is the way we drill the snot, drill the snot, drill the snot. This is the way we drill the snot. Ooh, it's covered in boogers. This is the way we drill the snot, drill the snot, drill the snot. This is the way we drill the snot. Yeah. Aha, aha, aha. So, back to stuff and things. Okay. Now let's look at a satellite beam as we see it. Okay. If it's a lower, or no, if it's a higher frequency. No, if it's a lower frequency, mid-frequency tech, it'll point up at an angle like that. Okay? If it is a high-frequency tech, also known as infrared, it's going to go straight. Okay? So, yellow is telecom, okay, radio frequency. Red is extremely fast light. Now, understand the difference between infrared and red. Light itself proves that reality is an illusion. Okay? As light gets slower, it turns red. As light gets faster, it turns blue, and then it turns red again. And eventually, it evens out all the way back to the beginning. That's kind of far out. A little bit off topic, but I think it's cool. Anyway. So here you have relatively low frequency EM, okay, which requires focus. Okay, there's going to be a little dish down here that's focusing this beam, right? That's a dish. Oh yeah, look at my dish in all of its majesty. That's the worst thing I've ever drawn in my life. Okay. So you have a dish that actually puts the signal into this little thing that sits in front of it. Okay. That signal bounces against the dish, and that dish focuses it and pushes it out as far as it can, because otherwise that frequency would scatter. Okay? That's how a satellite dish works. It's going straight to something. Okay, just keep that in mind. infrared, which is, by the way, what we actually use for the internet, that is level. That goes between two buildings, and if there's an inclination gradient, I couldn't quite detect it with my eyeball by looking at the lens of the device. And it looks damn near like an old projector that you had in school. Okay? Only bigger and upside down. And what this thing does is it communicates at a much higher frequency. And it communicates with created beamed light, a laser. Okay, that's basically what it is. It's a laser. Look, just like it is. It's a laser. Now, if you have this magnetic effect we lovingly refer to as gravity, and this quote, gravity, is pushing down on everything. Down, down, down. Down, says the gravity. Down, I say, down. You would basically have a ballistics challenge that would depend on the frequency of the signal you were trying to beam. So, in order for something extremely high frequency to work, it would barely have to be angled up. It would not even be detectably angled up by the naked eye. And as you can see, I have about a 0.3 degree slant on that line. And that's all it would take for an infrared laser, you know, because apparently in this little box that looks like an upside projector, there is a shark swimming around with a laser on its head, and that's how the internet works. Right? No, I don't think that's right. But if you have a less powerful signal, if you have a lower energy, lower frequency signal, one that needs to be focused and redirected from a broad dish into one spot, okay, and the size of the dish is basically determining the distance that it has to travel. What you're doing is ballistics with light, with EM. Everything is affected by gravity, even EM. It's just fucking protons and electrons, okay? It's flowing, non-particulate matter that we call energy. But the energy is only the potential of that matter. The kinetic force can only apply to when that stream is finally received. Tiger Lily is being chased by the kitten. Ha ha ha. This is getting terribly cute. It's not something I could film if I tried. Like they're not still enough. I might see if I can get the kitten to play with just me later, or one day soon, before she gets too big to be cute. Anyways, I know y'all are feeling kitten deprived. I'm sorry about that. Oh, I'm not trying to sit there and show a kitten with ringworms. And I have her hair growing back now because I've been bathing her with a mix of antibacterial dish soap and tea tree oil and a little foaming dispenser. And it's been working very well, even with the fleas. Just getting the fleas right off her. Speaking of fleas, one just bit the fuck out of Dingo. I'm sorry, Dingo. You'll get a bath tomorrow morning, baby. Dingo! Dingo! Not right against the food bag, man. Come on, that's noisy. Huh. Oh, so Dingo comes and tells y'all good morning, scratching right by the computer as soon as I leave? Y'all get to hear that every morning, Max? Dingo comes by. Hey, fuckers. Dingo's from the ghetto, so you have to forgive him for that shit. So anyways, what you wind up with when you're beaming a signal like this is actually an arc. And that's really not what it looks like, because I got halfway through it and realized, hey, we're on a tiny little Earth model here. But, let's see what I can do about that. Alright. So what you have is no. What you have is the wrong thing selected, dumbass. What you have is, say you wanted to beam to the other side of the world, which is the only thing I can do because the scale is just way off for anything else. If you wanted to beam to the other side of the world, this frequency modulation device would send a signal that would be affected by gravity. And then you would have a receiver dish invariably at a higher angle. Isn't that consistent, Max? I've actually drawn the transmitter dish. The transmitter is usually like that, and the receiver is usually at a higher angle. But they're usually about relative. I may have actually spoke before I thought that through too much. But depending on the setup, I was going back to 1980s technology, and I need to be thinking more about DirecTV to put it into modern satellite terms. So you could have another situation. I'll just do DirecTV in like a DirecTV-ish color, like a light purple. There we go. If you had a DirecTV satellite, you have it at that little DirecTV angle, right? Well, then all you would really need isn't some distant thing. All you would need is a wireless internet tower. Because that wireless internet tower is not 20,000 or fuck shit. Oh, let me do the calculations there. 1.2 million feet above the fucking surface of the earth. No, okay. Little towers like this, right? There's a little cell phone tower. Not 80,000 feet above the earth, or whatever. 220,000. But relative to the dish, you know, the giant fucking space alien from Daniel Jackson Uncle's dreams, whatever. Their dish, for their TV, you know. It's not angled like it's going up into space. Could you imagine the interference if something had to go into space at that angle? Good God, it'd be useless. It's going to a tower. Going to a tower much like a cell phone tower. Might be to a cell phone tower. They might just be paying for broadband access, and you're just going, I mean, it's just another fucking internet service when you think about it. It's going to an internet comlink tower, okay? And what it's got to do is go up a little. Just enough to make it over the trees into the tower. And it probably doesn't even arc down much. Probably doesn't have to go that far. Probably just levels out a little. So, I hope that graphic was big enough for you to make out while I was explaining that. I have to take a potty break. I guess I can, like, play the music while I go. Hopefully I can play it before I piss myself.
back. I know you coming through. You're trying.
I wish we had a second phone.
Oh, you're trying to get me. You're trying too hard. I'm going, baby. I'm going too far. I want something better than this. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I am a vegetable. There is none like me. I'm green like an artichoke. My flavor's so swalala.
Do you think these are my other brown boots favorite? These are the higher ones. These?
Those are fine, yeah.
This isn't really office.
It's Friday. It's definitely a dressed up enough for Friday thing. So yes, I am my wife's fashion advisor.
Yes, because I was raised by a man in the military, so I have no fashion sense whatsoever. I just discovered the greatest invention ever, and it's a straightener brush. It's like a flat iron and a brush all in one, and it's so freaking easy. It's actually quite relaxing to straighten my hair.
Oh, bless you twice. And bless you once again. And again.
I think I'm done.
Do I need to Benny Hinn you?
Let the bodies hit the floor. Chew! Let the bodies hit the floor. Chew! Let the bodies hit the chew! Sorry. I went a little too far with that.
I cast out the spirit of sneezy sniffles in Jesus' name.
Man, you need to come do that to an old girl up at the front counter. That's all she does all day long. Her allergies kick her ass. Here to the phone. Thank you for calling. Hey, what can I help you? Come blow your nose.
Okay, so now we're on national news coverage. I are not the channel for that. You got Hoda Kate running around. I think she's heading towards some sort of food samples or something.
No, it's wine. That's what she's
running. Wine. Oh, that's why she's running. Points.
I'm waiting for the day she's doing that and she trips in them heels. Or she switched to tennis shoes. So Big One's not getting off the bus again today.
Okay.
Picking her up. Which sucks because I was going to have a list of stuff for her to do when she got home. She's coming to work with me. Unless you want to go pick her up. National news.
No, let what's his name? The sheriff?
McDavid?
McDavid, no. That there's been somebody running the bus stop sign once a day. They just drove right the hell through it this morning.
another day, but it's taken so far away. I know, it's coming so soon. Feel it inside in my heart drive. I know, it's coming oh so soon. But I try to find a way to get away from here. I know why can't I get back, get back, get back, get back? I know you coming through. You're trying, oh you're trying to get me. You're trying too hard. I'm going, baby, I'm going too far. I want something better than this, yeah, 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 yeah.
And I'm back. So, not a whole lot to report other than what we have discussed. So I do hope you enjoyed the music. And for those of you who were listening, I'm sure you needed some time to reflect on the technological and metaphysical aspects of things. How do we know that light bends downward? How do we know that EM in general bends downward? Depending on the fluidity, depending on the frequency, depending on how well it can hold itself together. Well, eventually ships do seem to lower over the horizon. Not consistent with curvature, but consistent with this theory. So there's your observational proof that this is a plausible possibility. massaged. Where is my phone? I do not know. Hello, Fonio. ET phone, homeo. Sounded like it was up in this direction. Alright, I've lost my phone. Where the hell did it go? Phone. Here, phone. Where are you, phone? Oh. Right there, in the middle of a fucking stack of shit. Alright. So I think we're about done here, folks. What else? Any topics for the day or anything? I don't know. Wait a minute. Why in the hell is that back in the title bar? I typed Hurricane Nate. We had one in 2011. And then Morning Kovefi. What the hell is going on here? Clicking refresh. No reason it should be saying that. XSplit still says the correct title. Now it's back. Okay, that's fucking weird. Whatever. I guess I should have copied and pasted it so I didn't have to type it out again while it was there. Although I thought I had, yeah, down there in part 11 coming up next on the TheLostBegotten channel. More funny YouTube glitches. Alright. So that graphic is so horrible I'm not even going to save the file. But I think Max is probably ready for Final Fantasy. I suppose I'm ready for Final Fantasy. My character has been sitting still since 2:23 a.m. We are waiting at Makalani Temple for what's probably the first real boss battle, and for the actual exposition of plot to unfold. So far, it's just been character building, basically. A little bit of backstory. Now we learn what the hell's up with this Seymour Guado guy. There you go. Alright, so Hurricane Nate, we allowed the local news to cover in the beginning of the broadcast. I am really just not that interested in it. It's just going to be like a storm, maybe, here. Probably just going to be clear skies all day, with like some wind, just a little wind. And, yeah, just not worried about it. So I might do one more broadcast just to, like, make fun of it. But other than that, no biggie, right? No biggie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I needed to talk about this morning. I think there is a scenario unfolding in the White House, and possibly between the Senate committee, Chairman Burr, on his email devices. I think basically the same interference that has affected me has affected him in his attempts to communicate with Mr. Michael Steele about the dossier. Because we had a situation reported by Rachel Maddow in which Chairman Burr, Chairman Burr, William Burr, Bill Burr, that's funny. Wilford Brimley, William Burr, says that they were about to arrange a meeting, they needed to set a date, and then Michael Steele didn't get back to them. And basically Michael Steele says that they didn't receive any communication from them, and that they were just waiting for the date. Aaron Burr says they sent the date and didn't receive any confirmation. So from what I can gather, Mr. Burr's communications have been blocked, much like my own. See, I had a CEO of a major corporation involved in aquaculture. A major corporation. I had the CEO, who's my exact age, by the way, and a Capricorn too, track me down and shake my hand a second time and apologize for being too busy to talk to me. Because I had given him just basically a 2-sentence version of my pitch, what I was doing. I happen to be a marine builder, a marine breeder, who has designs for a multiple-use structure that is ideal as a multiple-use storm-proof, deployable, modular, scalable structure that is ideal for island-based research facilities. And he came and found me, and he gave me, he went into his briefcase and gave me his personal business card. Came and found me, shook my hand again, took me back to his booth, which was one of the bigger display areas. And I have emailed him and texted him and heard nothing back. I didn't say, "Hello, I am God. You are lucky to be, like, fucking blessed with my business proposals and shit." Like, I don't do that. I'm just a normal fucking human being, okay? That's why reality is so hard in many ways. It's because I am just a normal fucking human being. Yes, cursed fucking human being. A normal fucked human being. And like a normal human being, I just forgot what the hell I was talking about. But anyways, whatever. Oh look, Max, your keyword interested the hackers again. So yeah, Russia has prevented me from basically being a supplier to Live Aquaria. Max. Live Aquaria could just throw the money I need. Just throw it somewhere and forget about it. Okay? And the guy I was talking to who was interested in throwing the money my way was, let's just say, one of the main people they buy stuff from. And I believe is somewhat corporately merged with them, actually, but I'm not sure about that. But if you go to PetSmart, you find a lot of their stuff, okay? PetSmart. And I had this guy come in to shake my hand because he was interested in my business idea. And he went out of his way to track me down, like I said. And I sent him one message talking about the hurricane. Just a how's the weather kind of thing. Hope everyone out there is okay. This is Sean, the pyramid building guy. No response. So then my next message was a detailed description of what the buildings can do, what I do, what I've done, my experience. Just as far as mariculture goes. And what these buildings can do and what their overall economic potential is. And again, nothing. So I sent basically the same thing as I did text, just retyped, not copy-pasted, a longer version of it. More detailed, more organized, easier to read. In an email. Nothing. But then, get this, Max. Watch this. Watch this. In fact, I will, not sure if I can. Oh no, of course it just comes up fucking blank. For no reason whatsoever. So watch this. If I go and I add and I type in F. I'm not going to do it right now because I realized it would show up right now. If I type in F, that guy right there, let's just call him O'Neill. That's the guy who I emailed one time from my cell phone, showing up as a Google Plus contact. I didn't add him, I didn't save the email address, I just emailed him one time. That's kind of creepy. Like, I know exactly why that's happened. You know, I'm using an Android phone, I'm using a Gmail email account. But the permeation, the lack of consideration for security in general, the permeation, it's on purpose. It's to make it not secure. High CPU usage detected again. Yeah, it's just the fact that I sent an email and I don't get recent contacts from... Ooh, my power just flickered. I don't get recent contacts from, like, any of the social media shit from, like, friends or people that I fucking know. But I get one from this email that I sent this one time. And I get it from the same site, granted, but on a completely different service. Yeah, strangers. Strangers with weird names and icons, too. Looking like they're posing as U.S. officials when they're clearly not. But with what we've seen on here with the suppression, with the automated commenting, with the suppression of commenting, and the fact that just emails, are that interwoven with their social media suggested contacts. It's that unsecure. They're just throwing email addresses around the stream like that. It is more than plausible that anyone using an Android device could have their emails blocked. And in fact, the way that's shown up is probably how it's done, related to how it's done. Anyways. So that's all for the news and analysis today. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks Max, Polly, whoever else is here, Joey. Oh, what happened? For hanging out and chatting. If you're new to the channel, please feel free to introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to ask any questions you might have. Just, be polite. And try to sound like an intelligent person. Just a little advice. Anyway. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please click the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, check your subscription if you are a subscriber, and coming up next, part 11, I think.